Good day, my friends, and welcome to the Whitfield analysis. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting live from Next Gen Conservative Studios via Junior Factor Nation on Spreaker. Folks, I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. We've got a great show coming up, and the reason it may sound a little echoey, I think I've fixed it a little bit. Folks, I've due to popular demand, I went out and I purchased a Skype uh, subscription number. Now, hopefully, some of you can call in to the program tonight and use it. So, the telephone number, if you want to call into the program, is 303-731-5583. Again, telephone number 303-731-5583. Now, folks, what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm setting up a donation page, a PayPal account donation page on my website, Sam Whitfield, the Analyzer. And I'm going to be asking, this is going to kind of be like my personal drive, kind of like how NPR does, the drive for fundraising. And folks, this may shock some of you, but I'm going to be asking you guys to please raise $100. Because that's how much it's going to cost for me to buy a year's subscription of the Skype number. Now, currently I just bought the $18 for 3 month subscription, but that's gonna end in September, and that is good for now. But folks, if you want the call-in line, as so many of you do, I am going to need your help supporting this. I put the show content out for free, and we all do here at JFN. But we do need your financial support and whatnot. So anyway, so if you have any questions about donating money or supporting me, please feel free to email me, sam@calgranation.com. And or if you're friends with me on Facebook, message me there. So anyway, that's the info about the telephone number and whatnot. Now, folks, boy oh boy, it's been a busy week. It's been a very, very busy week for me. I think I've probably been on the radio. I've probably been on the radio at least five times this week. Probably at least. Let's see. I filled in for Caden, who was supposed to fill in for Jason on Monday but got sick. And I filled in for Stephanie Conway on Tuesday on the Founding Voice for 30 minutes. I did a 2 and to have our pre-recorded show on 4th of July. Now it was pre-recorded, but still it was a 2 hour show. And by the way, if you haven't listened to that yet, it's in the archive up on JFN's speaker channel. Take a listen to that when you get the chance. It's probably one of the best 4th of July shows I've ever done, and I've been doing 4th of July shows for 3 years now. And then I'm doing my show tonight, and then I'll do my show tomorrow. So that's a total of 5 times. So I've been a busy boy this week, but nevertheless, I enjoy doing what I do. So anyway, the first topic for tonight that I'd like to talk about is I want to talk about this thing in Egypt where the military, they essentially staged a coup, and they killed the president, not Mubarak, but the other guy. I can't remember his name right now. I had it just a minute ago. But anyway, they took out the president, and let me see if I can find his name real quick. But anyway, they took him out of power, and I'm not really surprised that they took him out, because he was a dirtbag, folks. There's no denying that. Well, he was part of the Muslim Brotherhood, so that pretty much sums most of it up. Let me see. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Hold on, folks. Oh, it's Mohammed Morsi. Mohammed Morsi is the name of the guy, folks. So the Egyptian military went out and took out Morsi, and they they removed him. And right now they have an interim leader. I don't know the guy's name. I don't really care, but they removed him from power. And of course, everyone was celebrating because, like I said, this guy is a Muslim Brotherhood dirtbag, and the Muslim Brotherhood, folks, is a radical fringe political group, and they have a considerable amount of influence in politics in the Middle East, but they're all radical terrorists. And so Egypt's got an interim prime minister right now, And this didn't really shock me. I saw the I knew that I knew that Morsi would get taken out of power eventually, either by force or he would eventually be forced to step down. It didn't really surprise me because um, we've seen that trend in Egypt a lot lately. You know, first first Karzai was forced to step down. Uh, then Morsi, and now Morsi was stepped down, was taken out of power, and Mubarak was also taken out of power, which is the guy before Morsi. But anyway, so this whole change of power within Egypt does not really surprise me, but here is the angle which really does surprise me. It's not so much over the reaction in the Middle East. That doesn't really surprise me at all, folks. What surprises me, though, and what I find deeply disturbing, is a lot of people here in America, and even some quote unquote conservatives, and I say quote unquote conservatives because they're not acting like true conservatives, but I've heard multiple quote unquote conservatives calling for us to do the same thing to Obama, for us to take him out of power that way. And to those people who would think that, A, I hate to say this, but A, they're non-conservatives. B, they're idiots. And C, the reason why they're idiots is because they don't understand what I don't think they actually understand what happened. Understand that what happened was in Egypt, the military went in and staged a coup, the Egyptian military, and violently took out Muba, um, Morsi. Well, they did the same thing with Mubarak to bring in Morsi, but now they've they did that with Morsi too. So they took him out through violence, and I don't care how much you despise Obama or Bush or any president. I don't care how unpatriotic Obama's been. God knows I am not the biggest fan. I would like to see him impeached. I mean, there are so many things that Obama should be impeached for: Benghazi, the unconstitutionality of Obamacare, and yes, I know that Justice Roberts declared it constitutional, but in my eyes, it still should be unconstitutional. Mm-mm. Aside from that, though, you know, I have no problem saying that I despise Obama as president. However, I cannot I cannot condone the mentality that a coup needs to happen to take Obama out. Not yet, because there may be a day when the president does go full on tyranny, but that day has not come yet. We still have the Constitution, and that's the important thing. Folks, we still have the Constitution. So, in my mind, in my mind, if we want to impeach Obama, if we want to get Obama out of power, that's the way we do it. That's the way we do it. Like I said, I cannot condone the actions of these quote-unquote conservatives who keep saying that, oh, well, we need to take Obama out like Egypt took Morsi out. A, we do not need to kill Obama. B, like I said, we have a constitution. If we want to impeach him, let's do it the proper way. Let's do it the American way. I am not so upset like some other quote-unquote conservatives that I am going to go completely AWOL and try and stage a military coup to take Obama out. That's not how we operate. And folks, the other thing, the other reason why I called these quote unquote conservatives idiots is because I understand that these conservatives are PO'd. I understand that they want Obama out of power. But let me tell you something, folks. The Department of Homeland Security, Jen Napolitano, is looking for excuses to target Tea Party members and to arrest Tea Party members. Homeland Security is literally looking for excuses to do that. And whenever a conservative posts on Facebook that we need to take Obama out the way they did in Egypt, I'm sorry, but that's just asking for trouble, because you know Homeland Security is going to jump on that, and they're going to arrest that person, but then they're immediately going to go and label the entire Tea Party as radicals who want to overthrow a coup. They're going to mass label us. And folks, that's not what the vast majority of conservatives want at all. The vast majority of conservatives, I believe, still want to do it constitutionally. But there are the boneheads out there who hate Obama so much that they don't care how they have to take him out. They just want him out. If we're going to take Obama out, let's do it through impeachment. Let's not kill the guy. Let's not try to stage a coup or anything. That's the last thing we need. Now, in regards to Egypt, you know, a whole bunch of people are saying, yay, Morsi's dead. Everything's fine now. Everything's fine now. Wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Things in Egypt are just getting worse. Well, not worse quite yet, but I predict that they're going to get worse. Because, and let me tell you something. Morsi may be dead, but I'm not fully convinced that that means that things are going to get better. If anything, they're going to get worse. That's what I meant to say the first time around. And yes, Andrew, I can see you. And in fact, we have a call-in number now. So I'll give out the number before commercial break, so you can call during commercial break if you want to talk. And yes, Andrew, I understand that Egypt took Morsi out because he had torn the Constitution apart. But what I'm saying, and again, I know you agree with me, I understand that's why they took Morsi out the way they did. But folks, we're not at that point. we're not at that point in the U.S. yet, so there's no reason to be inspiring the idea of taking Obama out that way when it hasn't gone that bad. If it ever does get to that stage, well, A, we'll be screwed, but B, if it ever does get to that stage, then we will have reason. But things have not gotten that bad yet, folks. Anyway, though, as I was saying, so people are cheering that Morsi's gone in Egypt. And even some conservatives are saying that this is the opportunity for a bright, brand new day in Egypt. And, right, Andrew says, I'm just saying that in that certain situation we where we were at would be treason, right? I know that, and that's my point, folks. Egypt is a completely different world. But as I was saying, originally, ladies and gentlemen, so people are cheering that Morsi's dead, and whatnot, and they think that this is a brand new day for Egypt. They think that this is a really good thing. And folks, it's good. It's good that Morsi was taken out of power because he was a bad dude. Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that that wasn't good, but I'm not totally convinced that Egypt's situation is going to get any better. And what makes me say that is due to the fact that there is still a heavy influence of the Muslim Brotherhood. And as long as the Muslim Brotherhood is in power, guys, or scratch that, because as long as the Muslim Brotherhood has any sort of influence over Egyptian politics, and I mean any sort of influence in politics, Egypt is going to be screwed. Because they use methods of intimidation and treachery, and they murder their political opponents openly. And they sponsor terrorism cells too. So, you want my advice? I doubt anyone in Egypt is listening to this or even understands what I'm talking about because I'm speaking English. But if anyone in Egypt wants my advice, you want my advice, you have to break away from the Muslim Brotherhood. You have to. That's your only hope for freedom. Otherwise, you're just going to continue a spiral of chaos, and it's going to be bad. So, folks, I didn't mean to get on that rant, but honestly, this whole thing with us doing to Obama what they did in Egypt, it's not gonna fly. It's not gonna fly. I will not support it, and it's just we don't need it. That's plain and simple. All right, folks. And the reason I keep breaking up is I'm getting used to this feedback I'm getting from Skype too while I'm on the broadcast. So I'm going to go to commercial break. Sorry that segment was a little broken up. If you want to call in to the show, and keep in mind we're about ready to go to roughly a 2-minute commercial break. So please call in now. The number, if you want to call in, is 303-731-5583. Again, that number is 303-731-5583. Call immediately once we go to the commercial break if you want to call in. The lines are open. Folks, we'll be right back. You are listening to the Whitfield analysis on Junior Factor Nation. Folks, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Folks, welcome back to the Whitfield analysis. I'm Sam Whitfield, broadcasting live. Now, folks, Andrew Allen could not call in, but he's in the chat room right now, and he wants to bring up a topic that really I haven't talked about a whole lot lately. I haven't talked about it probably in at least a year, actually, but it's there's been some developments uh, going on in the Trayvon Martin slash Zimmerman case. Now, the last time I covered this, the thing hadn't gone to trial, and nothing had really happened. The story had broken, and what I said a year ago, and I still believe this to be true, whether or not he committed the crime is irrelevant in the left's mind. They are trying to politicize this shooting. Well, they're trying to call it a murder, but the fact is, I mean, that's what this whole case has been about. We don't know. We don't know if it's been if it was a murder or if it was in self-defense. But the left is calling it murder. So let me just humor the left real quick and say that if this was a murder, if this was in fact just an innocent kid and George Zimmerman shot him, that's all there is to it. But the left is making this big deal about they're making this a big deal about gun control, and that's what this is mainly about. But this is also about racial relations, folks. The left has always hated the idea uh, of well, how do I phrase this? The left still is living in the civil rights era of the 1960s, and not necessarily in a good way either. Their whole view of race relations in this country is actually pre-civil rights. They believe that this entire shooting is racially motivated, and Andrew has left up a couple of good points here, which I'm going to read. My first point is that he said, "Remember in the beginning that they called Zimmerman white until we find out that he was of Hispanic descent." Oh yeah. Well, not only that, Andrew, but then the left tried to coin the term white Hispanic. Remember that? Remember, folks, when they tried to coin the term white Hispanic because they couldn't deal with the fact that he was another minority. Folks, this is the other thing. They're using this case as a whites are still evil, blacks are still being oppressed, and we still need, affirmative action and all that crap. That's what this case is about. For them, this case is not about a poor little boy got murdered or shot. No, this is about two things. This is this has been all about taking away guns, and this is all about blaming the white man for all of the world's problems. Now, Andrew Andrew uh, recently brought me some interesting updates. I mean, he's one of our regular contributors, and Andrew is actually one of my well, he's not like officially my producer, although I'm thinking of giving him a title like assistant producer, and I'm serious, assistant producer to the Whitfield analysis, because he um he has found more information and done more research for me on this topic than I've been able to find anywhere else. And so lately, and again, these are fragments in the chat, but he said, now as for the Zimmerman case, we had testimony of the mothers of Zimmerman and Trayvon. So, Andrew, as I'm to understand that, as I understand that, that pretty much means that all we have is the testimony of the mothers of both Zimmerman and Trayvon. In other words, it's not the testimony of Zimmerman or Trayvon themselves, but it's their mother's testimony. Right? Then he said that I think both mothers might be biased on the recording they heard of one of them screaming for help. Well, and that's the other thing. Everyone's mentioning this tape, but we can't tell. Okay. Andrew now says there was a recording, and the mothers tell us who they think was the one screaming. So, okay, so I see. So Zimmerman's mother is claiming that, his son, that George was screaming for help, and then Trayvon's mother was the one claiming that Trayvon was screaming for help. Okay, now here's the whole other thing, folks. I think Andrew, you'll agree with me. In regards to the whole thing with the tape, here's the reason why I haven't been following this. Until the jury comes back with until any specific thing has come back saying that this was a murder or not, there's really no point in following this, because at this point it's become way too politicized. Now, I will say this. Based on what I'm seeing right now, Zimmerman did do this in self-defense. Based on the rhetoric I'm getting. Because, here's one of the main things. If you look at what happened to Trayvon, if you look at the way that Trayvon Martin's family has been carrying this, one thing that you have to remember about Trayvon is he was 17. Trayvon had just turned 17 when he was shot. But the other thing that we discovered is, according to records off of Trayvon's cell phone and off of Trayvon's Facebook profile and whatnot, he was getting into the whole gangster rap, I'm a badass, golden chains and pimps and whores, and I mean, I hate to be stereotypical, but I guess he was getting into the stereotypical black rap hip hop gangster scene, from what I understand. And so he was getting on that. That's what Zimmerman's defense attorneys found. Now, that might not mean that he was necessarily a gangster. Again, it's so hard to it's so hard to tell Oh, Eric, you finally showed up. And yeah, that would have been a lot awkward since you came in at Pimps and Whores. Um, well, so do I. So do I, Andrew. Well, and here's the other thing. That video of Zimmerman does seem pretty believable. It's pointless to play on here, but I am going to be doing like a YouTube video commentary on it. Andrew's referring to the courtroom video of Zimmerman demonstrating what happened. Now, here's the thing, and Eric, this is what I was talking about when you came in at the pimps and whores part. What I was talking about, Eric, and for those of you just tuning in, is Trayvon Martin's family has tried to portray him as this sweet young innocent boy, but in reality, he was 17 years old. He had just turned 17, and according to what has been released of his cell phone pictures and his Facebook profile, it seems like he was getting into like the stereotypical like gangster rap, golden chains and gangs and pimps and whores stereotype. It seems like he was getting into that. Now we don't necessarily know that he was becoming that himself, but we do know that he was starting to get into that. Um, the the other thing, that I think is really suspicious on Zimmerman's part, on no, not on Zimmerman's, but on Trayvon's part, is the other suspicious thing about the Martin family is they've been trying to portray Trayvon Martin as this sweet little boy. I mean, he was 17 years old, but have you noticed that whenever they've like used pictures of him, they've always used the pictures of him when he was 12 and 13 and 14 years old. When he was still like a preteen slash early teen. But they but they're using that to cover his they're using that to kind of make him seem sweeter than he might be. Now, Eric, part of the reason I keep pausing is I'm reading the chat. um Eric says something very interesting, that and yes, Eric, the police did tell Zimmerman to hold the position and not to follow him. Now, okay, and that's where some people are thinking that this is murder, is the fact that the police told Zimmerman not to follow him, and yet he did. I mean, I mean, here's the thing: whether or not Zimmerman should have followed him or shouldn't have followed him, it's kind of irrelevant in the current situation now, because, like I said, now like I said earlier, you know, Trayvon could have attacked Martin. I mean, we just don't know. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've followed this case, Andrew, so you're right. Andrew writes, I think you should watch the YouTube video. He tells that he lost him, walked back to meet the cops. Then Trayvon comes behind him and attacks him. Folks, this is all very interesting. I'm going to go on a quick commercial break, and Eric, I have a telephone number now, buddy. So if you want to call in and comment the telephone number, if you guys want to call in and discuss this. The telephone number is 303-731-5583. Again, that number is 303-731-5583. Folks, we'll be right back. We'll be talking a little bit more about the Zimmerman and Martin case, and then I'll be talking a little bit about atheism and some of the absurd stuff that happened there. Alright, we'll be right back. Please call during commercial break if you have comments. And we'll be right back with the Whitfield analysis. Again, the phone number if you want to call in is 303-731-5583. Alright, folks, we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Alright, folks, welcome back to the Whitfield analysis. You know, I am just going to say this now that Eric is here. I'm a little surprised that none of you have called in yet today. I just got this call-in number because some listeners, I'm not going to say who, but some listeners keep giving me crap that I haven't had a call in them. number, so I got one and I configured it with Skype. And now everything's all echoey and everything. Still trying to figure out how to like reduce that on my microphone and everything. Here, I think that sounds a little better. I reduced the gain on my microphone. Again, one quick reminder on the telephone number, folks. Right now, right now, I only have the number for. Right now, I only have the telephone number for 90 days. It expires in September. Um, and folks, it costs $18 a month. I mean, it costs $18 for 3 months. However, I like to purchase the subscription, the yearly subscription, which is I think like about $60 a year. So I looked that up, and folks, I'm going to be asking you if you do want to call a number. If you do want to call a number, if you want to call the show, please. I'll be setting up like a PayPal donate button on my personal blog, and you'll be able. I think there may be one up there. But if you listeners wouldn't mind maybe donating some money to help me cover the cost of the telephone number, that would greatly be appreciated. I'll have more details on that on the JFN Facebook page. So anyway, I just want to remind you of that again. So our next topic is liberalism in our generation. Now, folks, I played this clip um, on Stephanie Conway's show on Tuesday when I filled in for her, but I want to play again. This is a clip of Steven Crowder exposing the liberal uh, absurdity that college campuses across this nation um, spout out year after year. And I know we're not in school, but right now, but everyone will be heading back in August, and so I just want to remind people that this is what most of the liberal professors in college are teaching. Really, they're not teaching much of anything. But I mean, it's absurd the amount of liberal idiots in my generation, the millennial generation. Now, I played this clip on Stephanie Conway's show, but I didn't fully get a chance to make my comments and what I thought about this clip of Steven Crowder. So let me play this clip real quick, and then it'll run about 10 minutes, and then I'll give my commentary on this. So anyway, here's Steven Crowder on liberalism on college campuses. Let's take a listen.
controversial videos that I've ever done would have to be the Quran challenge. If you click the link, you'll get to see the thousands of threats that I've received for insinuating that the Quran wasn't inherently a peaceful book. Now, many people think it's very unfair to compare the acts of Christians to the acts of Muslims, and I still agree. Both groups often consist of hypocrites. So let's get to the root of the issue. Yes, let's look to the faith's holiest of prophets, their model citizens, if you will. Jesus versus Muhammad. Also, quick note, even though I know that I can physically portray Jesus as much as I want without any fear of violent repercussions whatsoever. Hey Jesus, how you doing? Want me to pour you some wine? What? I am aware that in the Muslim faith, not believing in free speech does not allow for the same portrayals of Muhammad, which is why in these dramatizations I've gone to great lengths to avoid doing so. I am not Muhammad. Okay, firstly, before we get to their actual teaching, let's start with their personal life. Though Jesus was never married, Muhammad's seemingly favorite wife was Aisha, who according to was around 6. Though to be fair, he only consummated when she was 9. I have puppies in back. And in the spirit of full disclosure, Muhammad had many wives. Muhammad, who is he? Shut up! You don't know the boss of me! As a matter of fact, he had so many wives, here's the chart. So while Jesus was actually raising young adolescent girls from the dead, it seems that Muhammad was a little more concerned with... Moving on, Jesus was actually pretty big on the whole treating women with respect and protecting them deal. Hey, whoa, whoa! You're crossing some serious lines! You got a lot of growing up to do. Oh, I'll tell you that right now. Look at the bluesy. Oh, you're so perfect, Carl. I can make one phone call. Whereas Muhammad was not only involved in the commanding and killing certain women, committed domestic violence against his wife Aisha, said that women constituted a majority of hell, but there was actually a day he was stoned to death as per his individual orders. Now, regardless of his servitude, Jesus never demanded anything in return from these women. Are you the money? No. I got it. Whereas Muhammad had quite a few slaves and concubines.
Please, Noble Muhammad, tell me how I can please you.
You can make me a sandwich. Like yesterday? Many of these, shall we call them, female properties he gained in battle.
Alright. Whoops, forgot to press the button before I spoke. Anyway, folks, that's just one example of that's just one collection of examples of liberal absurdities in college. Um, Now the reason, and and I bring that clip up because I want to preface um, playing my next clip by playing that clip. That just shows about how college brainwashes some of these kids into becoming liberal idiots. The next clip I'm going to play is one that Jason played on his show on Thursday how about how some of these liberal kids are just complete jackasses. Now, the clip I'm about ready to play, it's taken from I forget what the source on is, but Jason played this on Thursday, and this is the clip of um, the atheist student basically bullying the Christian students in UCLA and saying that they should be all arrested and basically calling them a bunch of vulgar names. And this is the big problem I have with the left on college campuses. I mean, I have a big problem with them turning our kids into idiots, but I have an even bigger problem with them turning kids into bullies. Now, I'm not saying this is directly the college's fault, but I'm saying that these are the type of wackos that you'll find at the UCLA college campuses, among other college campuses across the U.S. And it's definitely not surprising to see this type of behavior, but it's very sad indeed. And this is also my big problem with radical atheists too. So anyway, let me play this clip and then I'll give my commentary on it. Now, folks, I do have to warn you. This clip does contain vulgar language, but I know everyone here is mature, so we'll play it, and then I'll give my analysis. All right, let me pause this for a sec. He's claiming that he wants to stop the killing of queer of quote unquote queers, but the last time I checked, isn't the word queer like a slang word slash offensive to some? Yeah. This now Jason only played the first 2 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and play the all 6 minutes. See, folks, this is the other thing you get on my show. I play the full clips. Um. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Eric says it's an epithet, yes, but some people self-identify as queer. Okay. Well, that's understandable, but still, this guy is just using all this for his personal gain. Let's take let's continue listening to this. I'm trying not to crack up at the absurdity of all this, but it's pretty hard not to. Sounds like the guy who wrote me a note the other day saying that no tolerance against intolerance. And see, folks, that's this is the way a lot of my critics are too. A lot of them. Uh, Eric and I disagree on things and whatnot, and same with the progressive thinker. He and I disagree on some things. Well, but like a lot of my genuine haters and a lot of Caden Cowger's haters are exactly like this. Now, notice how calm the Christians in this video are. Notice how calm everyone else is. And notice too that everyone else who's like walking by is laughing at this guy. You'll hear it. So you'll continue to hear it. So anyway, yeah, Eric, to say this guy is too out of control is an understatement. Anyway, continuing on. I'm sick and tired of Christians being tolerated. Wow. What? What was that I just heard? I have a fetish for persecutions? Ew. So, what? Does this guy want to screw? And again, this is nothing against this. This isn't so much like a homosexual thing, but that's kind of. I don't care if you're gay or straight. That's wrong. That whole attitude is. Oh my god. I have a fetish for persecutioners. Let me back up a little bit. I want to make sure I heard that right. Well, I'm sick of you, dumbass. So apparently what I did here was I have a fetish for persecutions. Wow. Again, that's just disgusting. But, right, right. The last time right. But after all, Jesus did speak out against slavery. But, but, but that doesn't matter. You know, not according to this atheist. Wow, that's just how do you react to something like that? And I mean, it went so far as that guy was uh uh okay, yeah, I sorry, I was just reading Eric's comments. Uh well, yeah, I mean, now Jason used that to describe the way atheists act. Um Obviously, not all atheists act that way. Um, I I have run into a lot of atheists who do act that way, unfortunately. But like, um, Eric, you seem like a pretty you seem like a guy who keeps up with podcasts. You know who you know who Adam Carolla is, right? Adam Carolla, the comedian slash world famous podcaster. Adam Carolla is an atheist, folks. But Adam Carolla is one of the only atheists. Well, oh yeah, very, very. Wow, you're going back. You're going back, Eric, all the way to the. I forgot. Yeah, he did do the Man Show. I forgot. I forgot that. Of course, I was too young for the Man Show way back, but like in the past couple of years, I've been listening to the Adam Carolla podcast. Um, you're not that old. You're like you're like what? I'm only 20. You're only 25. Well, my both of my cousins on my dad's side are both 30 and they look great. So but aside from that, this is the one thing that I wouldn't say this is atheists so much as this is liberals. The majority of liberals I run into, they rant and rave and they scream, and it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. And there's not much more I can say about that. Anyway, folks, that's all. That's all. I have for tonight in the political zone. So, real quick, I do want to bring something up non-political real quick though before I end the program. Uh, Eric just said, uh, I'm old, 25 in August. Just thinking about being a quarter century old makes me feel old. But folks, you want to know what makes me feel old though? Like I'm 18 and I do feel old at times. Jason and I have talked at this, but um, folks, for those of you who don't know, I have a my parents are divorced, and long story short, my dad got remarried a couple years ago, and he and his second wife, my stepmother, they had uh, a daughter last year, a little girl, and she's just about 1 years old, and and you know she's 1 years old, and what makes me feel old is I was going through like some I was going through some stuff that I have at my in my dad's basement, you know, because I'm going to move to Florida in September for college, and but I was looking for through my dad's stuff that I have, and I still have like a whole bunch of DVDs and VHSs of like Batman and whatnot from when I was a kid. and I know what they are. Heck, I still have cassette tapes. You want to know what and like I know what they are, and that kind of makes me feel old because Eric, you want to talk about you and I are kind of the same boat. Like my kids, folks, I doubt they're even gonna know what a DVD player is. Yeah, well, and like this is really scary because like I have, it's not scary, but it's funny. It's like you know I grew up when I was like 5. Uh, the cell phone hadn't just come out, but like the cell phone with text messaging had just come out, but it was like flip phones, and it was like the black and white thing, and you had to like scroll through all the letters, and texting was very expensive. No one knew, no one hardly ever did it because it was so expensive. But like my 5-year-old neighbor, we have like a couple 5-year-old kids on the street, and they love me. They love the heck out of me, and so when I had my iPhone out the other day, they were like, "Wow, the iPhone is really cool," and I'm like, "Yeah, when I was your age though, we didn't have iPhones. There were these things called flip phones, and uh, texting had just come out, and it was really expensive to do, and you could only do like 50 characters, and cell phones. Kids didn't have cell phones. In fact, even high schoolers back in the day didn't have cell phones. And the other thing that always slaps me is like is and this is how I know that even some of the millennials are getting older, because like here's the other funny thing. My dad and I we drove by a Blockbuster the other day. I know, a Blockbuster. And I said to my dad, I said, "Dad, do you think Allison, that's my sister's name? That's my sister's name." I said, "Dad, do you think Allison will even understand the concept of video stores?" And I mean, because think about it, folks. Nowadays, people don't even use DVDs or VHS. Heck, even Blu-ray is becoming primitive. Not quite, but like now, everyone's has internet compatible TVs. That can stream movies, and like even so, like now I don't even watch TV. You know what I do? And for those of you who are watching the t who are watching uh, my webcam stream, I'm holding my iPad right now, and what I tend to do is I just my mom has a Netflix subscription, and I have the login. It's kind of like our family subscription, and I just log on into my iPad, and I just stream all of the TV shows I want off my iPad. I mean, it's amazing. We don't need DVDs anymore. Uh, we don't need VHS. I mean, it's just it's amazing how the technology has come into existence, and then even gone out of style even in my lifetime, which isn't very old. Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, Netflix did essentially kill the video. I mean, the whole thing about Netflix too, though, is I still remember when Netflix was a DVD only thing. Yeah, I remember. I remember when Netflix was like a big deal. Like I remember when Netflix first came out in second grade, and that was like the mail. That was like the DVD by mail thing, and like I remember my dad like had a Netflix subscription, and like all my friends and all of their parents were like, "You guys have a Netflix subscription? You get DVDs in the mail?" I mean, it's just the evolution of it. Like I said, even the progression of technology in my generation. The Netflix DVD service came into existence when I was in second grade. It pretty much died when I was like in middle school, and now in the recent years we've had the Netflix streaming. Unfreaking believable. Anyway, folks, it's been a long day. I'm sure you've heard that in my voice today, and a long week. Eric, at the beginning of the program, as I mentioned at the very beginning, folks, by the end of this week, I will have been on the radio 5 times this week. I hosted JFN on Monday on short notice because Caden was sick, and I filled in for Stephanie on Tuesday. I did a show, a 2-hour pre-recorded show for the 4th of July on Thursday, which, by the way, if you haven't had a chance to listen to that yet, go and listen to it after tonight's broadcast. Then I did tonight's show, and then and then I'm going to be doing tomorrow's show too. Anyway, folks, that's all I have for now. I'll see you guys tomorrow evening. God bless, and I'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening, and I'll see you back here at 6 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Until then, God bless and good night.